By way of information, I'll just tell you a little bit of who I am and what I do. And then we'll dwell into the subject for today. I'll give you an outline of what we are going to learn, and then how it's going to benefit you, and all of those. So let me just go straight into who I am and what I do. So I'm Yaw Antwi Owusu. I'm a digital content designer. So I do a lot of things. I design graphics, I design videos, I do photography, I design websites, I design content, so content, video content, audio content, and all of that. And I've been doing this for almost 5 years, professionally for almost 5 years. And it's been a very great journey from school, out of school into the job market, freelancing, working on a regular job, which is very, very exciting and interesting for me. So currently I work with Accra-based City FM and City TV. I'm a designer there and also a photojournalist. So it's a very, very interesting job over there, and I really enjoy myself over there. So let me get straight into what we are going to discuss today. So today, my task here is to help you venture into the graphic design industry. And then if you've made that decision to venture into the graphic design industry, like any other industry, there's something you have to know or you ought to know. And I'm here to kind of give you that info and to put you on a springboard which you are going to launch your graphic design career, and it will be a very, very successful one. So before this, let me just give you a little bit of how I got into design, and then we'll get into it. So I studied graphic design in SHS, that was Corridge Senior High Technical School in Obo. So I did visual arts, and after doing that, so right after school, I was very, very fortunate. My family put me through an internship. So right after school, I got into an internship with a design company, which was in Takrade, Media Ghana. So at that foundation, I really learned a lot. I got to know how to use design, got to know who a designer is, actually learned on the job, got people to teach me on the job. And then from there, I got my first job as a designer, a junior designer. And then I got a proper job, which was a graphic designer for a media house. And the next step, I got into school. I did freelancing. I graduated, and then I'm working as a digital designer now. So right now, I'll move straight into what we are going to discuss today. So today, I'm going to discuss with you how to venture into the graphic design industry, and then what you actually ought to know to help you build a successful graphic design career. It's not easy to be a graphic designer, seriously. It's not easy. It demands a lot. It demands a lot. School will not teach you. It demands a lot. You will have to learn on the job. But if you have some opportunities on some platforms like this, it's going to kind of like point you in the right direction and let you accelerate faster. So quickly, to me, there are two main ways to get into the graphic design industry as a designer. There are two main ways, and I'm going to help you with those two main ways. So those two main ways for me is, one, you go to a design school, that's formal education. So maybe after SS, you get into a design school. Popularly in Ghana, it will either be a KNUST, a Ranford, or Takrade University. So maybe you get into one of these, go and do a design course, and then you graduate as a designer. That's one way in which you can become a designer, but that's not the only way. Another way, which is kind of like there's the growing trend we find ourselves now, is through self-learning. So just like most industries, you can also self-learn and become a graphic designer. So self-learning, so you can take courses online. You can go on YouTube, challenge yourself, learn the software, learn the system, learn how it works, and you can also become a graphic designer. So for me, there are these two main ways which you can actually enter into the graphic design industry and have a career for yourself. So as I said, it's either you are going into a formal education, or you are doing self-learning. And each of these have their pros and cons, to be frank with you. And each of them have their advantages. But one way or the other, they are all essential and they all come together at some point. So we'll roll through into what you have to do next. So I assume if you are watching this, you have either decided to become a graphic designer or you are deciding to become a graphic designer. So those are the two parts which you can actually use into becoming a designer. But the truth of the matter is, if you are out of school and you did political science and you are still interested in design, you can do it. And then you can use the self-learning. And then if you are in SHS and you're actually designing, you're actually thinking of a career path to choose, you can actually go for the formal education, which will actually help you. And in choosing any of these paths, you are going to acquire skills. And the truth of the matter is, if you go to a formal school, you are going to work or you are going to study with a curriculum, and then you have teachers who are going to guide you through that path. You have colleagues, which are a community of people which are actually going to guide you to learn, to challenge you to be better. But then if you are doing it on self-learning, it isn't like that. But they also have their pros, which it's actually going to help you. So in both parts in which you find yourself, the next thing you are actually going to do is you're actually going to acquire design skills and then define your path. So acquiring design skills, what skills will you actually need? So you have to acquire design skills and then define your path. So let me talk about acquiring design skills and then we'll move into what paths are there to choose and how you are going to define them. So acquiring skills. So as a designer, it's not just your design skills that matter. So you must also have some soft skills. So there are design skills, yes. You must know how to use your softwares. You must know what software to use at what time. You must know what software to use at what given task you are supposed to work on. You are supposed to know what colors to use and at what time to use this, at what point to use this font, at what point to use this layout. You must be knowledgeable about branding. You must have design basic skills, and those are the design skills that you actually need. So you need typography. You must be on top of your game in terms of typography. You must know that I use this font here. So if I'm going to tell somebody I love you, I'm supposed to use this font and it's going to appeal very well. If I'm going to tell somebody get the hell out of here, I know a font I'm going to use which is going to speak appealingly to that person to get that tax. You must know what color to use. Okay, we use red for this color. Red actually means it's aggressive. Blue is for trash. You must know all of that. So those are some of the design skills that you must have on your tips. And as I said, you must be on top of your game with your softwares. So you must know what software to use. So you have a logo tags to do. So you must know what software to actually use to get that logo tags done. So you have a book, a PDF file to do. You must know that InDesign, Adobe InDesign is a good software to actually help you to do that task. So you must be on top of your game in terms of software-wise, knowing what software to use, knowing knowledge about all the softwares and knowing what software to use and at what time. You must be on top of your game in terms of layouts and all of those. So those are the actual design skills you need. So you must be on top of your game in terms of the design skills. But being in this industry or having a career in this industry, you are not only going to survive with design skills. Yes, like any other industry, you need soft skills. So you need soft skills. When I'm talking about soft skills, what do I mean? You have to be on top of your game in terms of time management. So you know how to manage yourself, manage your tasks which come in. You must be on top of your game. So you must know, okay, I've taken X client X work. So I'm going to do it at this point to this point. I'm done. I forward it to client X. So after knowing, you must be on top of your game. You must have a very good time management skills. You must be very effective in terms of communication. You must let your clients know at each point in time where you are, what you are doing, and all of those. You must let them be on point of your game in terms of communication. So you have a client, he gives you an assignment, he gives you a contract, let me say, and you're having challenges with the contract. You must let the client be in the know. You must let the client know that yes, you are giving this contract. I told you I'm delivering it at this time, but I can't. You must let the client know that you must communicate to the client, and it's not an easy task, and it isn't easy. But as you are moving on, you are going to learn all of this. You are going to learn all of them. So you must be on top of your game in terms of communication wise. You must be very, very literate. And I know some people think, okay, I'm a designer and all I have to do is when I'm giving a task or I'm giving a copy, I design it. And you don't do any proofreading, you don't do anything, you just design. No. In this field or in this career, you're actually going to build a successful career. You're actually going to take the challenge of actually being literate yourself and proofreading your work. So those are some of the soft skills you also need. Another soft skill you actually need is a problem solving. You must be a problem solver. So as a designer, as a creative person, you must be a problem solver. A problem solver, I mean, when the client comes to you, you are not just designing for the client, you're actually solving the client's problem. So if you are in the mood or if you're a problem solver, when a client comes to you and he tells you that I need, let's just cite an example. A client comes to you, he tells you that I need X, or let's say he tells you I need a banner for something. But if you're a problem solver, you actually know that the banner or something wouldn't be a solution to the client's issue. But then you can suggest something better because you actually understand what the client needs and you're actually a problem solver. So you must also be a problem solver. So as I said, there are two skills that are actually going to guide you. Those are be your design skills and your soft skills. And you must be able to know how to balance these two and to bring the best out of you. So with the design skills, as I said, you must be on top of your typography. You must be on top of color theory. You must be on top of your layout. You must know a lot about branding. You must know a lot about what software to use and at what point. You must be on top of your design basic skills. And with the soft skills, you must be on top of time management. You must be very good with time management. You must be very good with communication. You must be very creative. You must be very literate. And you must know, you must be a problem solver. So by acquiring these skills, the next thing you're actually going to do is define the path. So what do I mean by defining a path? So there are a lot of paths you can work as a designer. So with the growing trends, there are a lot of paths you can work as a designer. So there are designers who create graphics. So all they do is 2D graphics and all of those. There are designers who do motion graphics. They work with video editors and all of those. There are designers who do web stuff, so they do websites. They work with developers and development agencies. So you must know which part you're actually going to do. Is it going to be a 2D, just a 2D designer or a print designer? So what you are going to do is you're going to do graphics, which will pertain 2D graphics, banners, and all of that. So you must also define that part. So you must also define that part. So as I said, you must know which path you actually want to do. Are you going to be a 2D designer? You're going to design social media content, print content, and all of that. Are you going to be a 3D designer, motion graphics, video editing, and all of those? They all fall under graphic design. Are you going to be a web designer which is going to work with web developers? So you design web assets to web developers, SVGs, and all of those. So you must take one of these parts and then actually tool that part. And my recommendation is that when you're starting with a part, it's very good to kind of like start with almost, though you have a part you are tooling, it's very good to generalize at the start and then you specialize as you go on. What do I mean by that? So it's actually good to actually know a bit of everything in the start. So know a bit of web design, know a bit of graphic design, that's the 2D design, know a bit of 3D design, that's your After Effects and Premiere Pro, know a bit of all of those. And then as you go on or as you go forward, then you specialize. So as you go forward, you specialize, and then in doing that, you are actually going to learn all of these fields and actually going to know which one is actually going to be the best for you and which one you actually deliver the best or the most when you have clients coming to you in specific time. So what I'll tell you is that though you are going to define the path for yourself, it's very, very good to generalize in the start and then you specialize as you go on. So there are 3D people, there are people who do 2D, there are people who work for graphics and all of those. So kind of like generalize for the start, and as you go on, you specialize. But in your generalization, you know your end goal. So you know what's going to be your end game. So let me use myself as an example. And though I generalize now, I know my end game is going to be content creation. So my end game is content creation, and content creation is almost everything. So it has to do with the 2D, it has to do with the 3D, it has to do with the motion, it has to do with the web. So that's my end game. And then in your stats, you have to define that part and then generalize in the stats, and then you specialize as you go on. My next point, as you have defined your part as a graphic designer, you actually need to learn on the job. So by learning on the job, what do I mean? You've defined your skills. You know what you are going to learn. You've acquired your skills. You've defined a path for yourself. You're on top of your design skills. You're on top of your soft skills. You actually need to learn on the job. And what do I mean by learning on the job? You actually have to get yourself something to do. Intern somewhere. So there are a lot of companies who need interns. Go and intern somewhere and learn on the job. If you are not interning somewhere, be a freelancer for yourself. Start taking on clients and learn on the job. And that's one specific way to actually get better and get to learn a lot. As I said earlier, there are two ways. You're either self-learning or you are in the school. So if you are in the school and you are learning in the school as a designer, dude, learn on the job. Be a freelancer while you are in school. Some of us did it and it worked for us. We are earning money and we're also learning at the same time. So be a freelancer whilst you're in school. Start some freelancing gig. Let people know that, dude, you do this, you do that. Learn on the job. And that's one way to actually learn and then learn on the job. So learn on the job. So after learning on the job, there are other things that your teacher are actually going to help you. So as I said, before this conversation, I spoke to two of my friends. One, which was my senior in Typography University, and the other which did self-learning, or who was also a senior in Typography University. He did engineering and did self-learning and is now a graphic designer and is now a digital designer. And then one thing they all have in common is that they learned, even though after school, they learned in school. They also learned outside of school and they kept learning. So I'm going to share with you some of the platforms or some of the initiatives which you can also use to help you learn. So one of the huge platforms which almost every designer goes to for resource or information is YouTube. So if you're a graphic designer, YouTube is going to be your friend, honestly, because there are a lot of resource. So there are a lot of resource on YouTube. So YouTube is going to be your friend as a graphic designer. It's going to be your colleague. It's going to be your everything. You are going to learn a lot on YouTube. And so in your learning bits, you must learn, or you must also go to visiting YouTube once a while. Go there. If you have challenges that your colleagues can't help you with, you get onto YouTube, and there are a lot of channels that can actually help you be a better designer in this field that you've chosen. So for me personally, one of the YouTube channels I actually recommend is Future. It's a channel which is led by Chris Doe. And if you're a designer and you actually visit that channel, you actually know that they channel a lot of knowledge on that channel. But there's actually practical knowledge from designers, from world-class designers who have actually practiced design for over 10 years and all of those. So YouTube is one of the platforms which you're actually going to use in learning. So you actually get there, learn a lot, learn on YouTube. Yes. So aside YouTube, other platforms that you can actually use are blogs. So there are a lot of design blogs out there. So if you have any challenge, get on a design blog, learn something, make one design blog your friend. So how I've made Future my friend, make one design blog your friend. So you go in there day in and day out, let them guide you. If you are in school, do that aside it. If you are learning, if you are doing self-learning, this is also going to be your friend. Do that aside it. So you're also going to use design blogs. So there are also books, design books, there are a lot of them. Go out there, go on Amazon, buy design books. If you are doing UX design, there are a lot of UX design books on the web. Go there, learn something. Read a design book. Aside YouTube, aside blogs, aside books, there are also design podcasts. So podcasts are a great way to learn and do multiple tasks and all of those. subscribe to a design podcast, which is going to be your friend. Learn day in and day out on that podcast. And one other important thing, aside the YouTube, aside the blogs you are going to visit, aside the books you are going to read, aside the podcast you are going to learn, is communities. So design communities. So this is one very, very essential thing. So a design community. So for me, back in school, Takraiteka University, our community was our class, honestly, and was a class of students who were actually very willing to bring the best out of everyone, honestly, because this community will actually challenge you. Because if you are given an assignment and you see the output of your friend and it's very, very excellent, dude, you'll be challenged to do better. So either if you are in school or you are doing self-learning, it's very, very essential that you belong to a community. So you create a community of circle of designers, which is actually going to help you. And then if you're a self-learner and you are not in school, there are other communities that you can actually join. So in Ghana, there's the design experience community. It's a very, very strong community. And then there's this community, the creative community, which is created by Joseph, this website, this Facebook page where you can actually join their WhatsApp platform and then you ask questions which are challenging you, and then you have resource people which are actually going to help you and guide you, point you in the right direction. So you have to join communities. So join communities. You can't do it alone. As the wise saying said, if you want to go alone, if you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to make impact, you have to go together. So you have to join a community. You need to join a community. So as I said, in your learning quest, these are some of the things that which is actually going to keep you on your toes. So you make YouTube your friend. So you get to YouTube, when you have questions, go on YouTube, you ask questions, you ask videos, sign up to channels which are going to encourage you to be a better designer. And then you read design blogs, you read design books, you listen to design podcasts, and be a part of a design community, regardless of your path which you are on, which is either self-learning or being in the school, which is the formal education. So after learning all of this, what will you actually know? What will actually tell you? What will actually let someone know that you're a designer? You have to have a portfolio. You will have to have a portfolio. So what's a portfolio? A portfolio can be a PDF file, a website, a video, which tells or shows people about the works you've done before, and it actually communicates to prospective clients about your expertise. So it tells them your expertise. So you need to create a comprehensive design portfolio for yourself. So there are a lot of ways in which you can create a design portfolio. If you are fortunate to be in school, you can use some assignments assigned by your lecturer in creating this portfolio. If you are not in school, you are self-learning. You can use some of your projects you are going to work on to create this portfolio for yourself. And personally, I have 3 hacks in which I use in creating portfolios, and I think that's what most creatives use. So first, I take on pro bono clients. So I take clients which I don't necessarily charge them money, but then we have some sort of exchange or some sort of barter. So with such works for some pro bono clients, I can use the designs or the output from those pro bono clients as part of my portfolio. And then you can also join design challenge. So there are a lot of design challenges on the web. So there are challenges that help you to create a logo every day. There are challenges that help you create web banners every day. So you can join one of these design challenges, and which can actually help you, challenge you, create a lot of content for your portfolio. And then one efficient way which you can also get assets for your portfolio is through personal projects. So what do I mean by personal projects? Depending on the industry in which you find yourself, or in the industry which you like aside design, you can start a project in there. So myself, I'm very, very so much interested in education and in media. So I have myself a personal project which I've set up, and I've formed a team for that also. And in doing that, I create assets for it. And those assets I can also feature in my portfolio. So I can also feature those assets in my portfolio. So you must set off a personal project, and those can also be an actual way in which you can get assets for your portfolio. So as I said, you're either taking on pro bono clients in which you're either going into a barter with them and creating assets for them, and then those assets you're also going to use for your portfolio. And you can also join design challenges. You can also start personal projects. So after creating a portfolio, what are you going to do with it? You're actually going to apply for design job openings, or you're actually going to pitch to potential clients with this portfolio. So with this portfolio, you are going to pitch to potential clients and to let them know that with this expertise that you've gathered, you can actually produce, or you can actually answer their creative needs. So you're going to give them this portfolio, and you're going to send them pitches, and you're going to apply for job openings. So let me touch on the applying on job openings into details, and then I touch on pitching to clients. So by applying onto job openings, there are a lot of job openings day in and day out on Jobberman and all of those, even on Facebook nowadays. So almost every design job opening requires a portfolio. As a designer, they'll require a portfolio from you. So you have to share a portfolio with them. And in doing that, your portfolio actually defines your expertise. So if you told the part of a 3D person, you're actually going to find that most of your portfolio will be in the motion graphics bit, in the video editing bit, I must say. If you told the part of a 2D designer, you're actually going to find yourself that most of your assets are going to be in brand identity designing and all of those, I must say. If you found yourself in the web design, you're actually going to find yourself that most of your assets are going to be in the web designing bit. And that is actually going to tell your prospective employer what skills you are bringing on board, or what expertise you actually have. And so that's for the job opening bits. Let me now touch on the pitching of services. I must say, it's very, very difficult to find a first client, honestly, first paying client, if I'll be specific. And in doing that, you must actually be out there, get to know what people actually want. And then if you know what they want, be in their faces, pitch to them that you have a solution for them. So let them know which solution, the solution you're actually pitching to them. So let's say, so back before I got into school, I teamed with a friend, and then we actually found out that a website of a then very popular radio station in Takwa, they needed some things, or they needed some creative assets to help them running. So we put together a pitch, and then we sent it over to the company, the radio station in mind. And through that, we got a gig. Honestly, we got a gig there. So we started creating assets for that radio station. And through that, I also got employed in that radio station. And that was actually my first work as a designer for a media house. And that was before I actually got into a design school, into a design tertiary school, which was Takwa University. So I must say, you must be out there, be in the lookout for what clients need. And then if you find out what they need, pitch to them. And then in pitching to them, I must actually let you know this. You must highlight your solutions. So that's the most important part. Dude, I don't want to know what you do. I don't want to know what you actually do. It's not important. What will interest me is the solution you're actually going to offer me. So let them know what solutions you are bringing on board. Let them know you understand their problem, and let them know that you're actually bringing a solution on board. So that will be it for this short presentation, I must say. I'll just roughly go through what we've learned today. And so as I said, this section is about venturing into graphic design, what you need to know. So in the start, I told you there are two main ways you can get into this field. So it's one, either you are in a formal education, which is a formal graphic institute, or you are doing self-learning. And each of these ways, they are very successful, and I know friends who have been able to become digital designers or graphic designers through this means. And then in doing that, in defining your path, you actually have to acquire skills. So you acquire design skills, and then you define your path. And I said that in design skills, there are design skills you have to acquire, there are soft skills you have to acquire. And then I said in the path, There are graphics, there's the 2D parts, there's a 3D video graphic editing part, and then there's a website part. So you have to design, you have to define your parts. And then I said it's very, very essential to have your end game in mind, but it's also good to generalize in the start, get to know a little bit of any and everything before you specialize as you grow on. And I also told you that it's very, very good to learn on the job. So intern somewhere, be a freelancer, let people know that you design, and then learn on the job. Start taking on clients, start freelancing for people. And I also said that once you learn on the job, you have to learn on the side. So you have to visit YouTube, get to learn on YouTube. And I said that one channel I actually recommend on YouTube is The Future, which is led by Chris Do. So you have to learn on YouTube, go on YouTube day in and day out. When you have challenges with your software, challenges with what to do, how to go about things, be on YouTube. So you have to subscribe to design blogs, read design books, subscribe to a design podcast, join a community. It's very, very essential. And it's very, very essential both if you are doing self-learning and you're also in school. Join a community like this, the WhatsApp platform which you've created. It's actually going to help you a lot. And we actually move on to having a comprehensive portfolio. So a portfolio which clearly states what you actually, your expertise are. And in doing that, if you're a first timer, you can take on pro bono clients, you can join design challenges, you can start a personal project which you actually admire in creating those portfolios. And I actually said that if you have a portfolio, the next thing you actually have to do is apply for a job opening, pitch your services to a potential client, and then pitching your services to a potential client, highlight your solutions. The client doesn't want to know about what you know to do, but what he actually wants to know is you understand their problem and you're actually going to give them a solution which is actually going to work. And in that way, you are going to get or earn your first client. This brings us to the end of this section. I think it was a very, very, very good one at my end. And I know if you followed, you actually enjoyed it. So thank you very much for the platform, guys. And I thank you. And I know that if you're actually going to follow what I actually said, you're actually going to have a very successful design career. And it's actually going to be a successful one. And I'll urge you guys to subscribe to this channel. And we'll actually come back for more info when they are. And thank you guys for having me. And I'm actually honored to be here and to share the little knowledge I have. So thank you very much. And then we'll meet sometime. So I have a website. You can actually check it out. YawAntwiOwusu.com. So you can actually check that website out. So thank you guys for having me. It was a great one. Thank you very much.